Yo guys, welcome back to the Uncle Sharma channel. Here we are on the 18th of September, one day away from our favourite dysfunctional, poorly organised league coming back, the Serie Ass. Yes guys, welcome to my preview of the Serie A 2020-21 season. Should be a good one. It should be the most competitive Serie A season in a very, very long time in my view. I'm going to do a little bit differently from what I've seen everyone else doing. So I'll start off with the bottom three, my three teams that I think are going to get relegated, and then I'll move to my top four and my winner, and then I'll just talk about the rest of the teams. It's going to be a weird start of the season without fans. There are talks that some fans may return to the stadiums. Some teams have applied for 1,000 fans to come into the stadium, and apparently it may get approved soon, so let's hope, fingers crossed, because you know football is nothing without fans. Some of those Italian stadiums, they hardly see any fans in there anyway. But anyway, let's stop waffling. Let's get straight to the point. My three teams to get relegated are actually two of them are the ones that just came up. So in 20th place, I'm putting La Spezia, sorry. I just don't see any quality. I went through all the squads this year. Last year I had a bit of a nightmare actually with my predictions, and I don't know if you guys follow me on Twitter. You know, all over the place, got many predictions wrong, but this year I made more effort into looking into the squads and the transfers. And when I was looking at Spezia, nothing really stood out to me. Two main signings that stood out to me were Kevin Agudelo on loan from Genoa, who's an interesting talent, and Jeroen Zoet, the keeper from PSV. I don't know how they managed to sign him, quality goalkeeper. But apart from that, that team just stinks of Serie B to me. I'm sorry. I hope they prove me wrong. You know, I like to see these new teams doing good. But I feel like the quality in the Serie A from the teams that come up from Serie B is getting worse and worse every year. It's getting really, really bad. You know, obviously we know the Premier League has a lot of money, but in England, even the Championship teams manage to spend a lot more than some Serie A teams. And obviously that is because of the revenues and the money, but it's crazy that, you know, there's such a disparity. Some of these teams, you know, they come up and they pretty much do nothing and they come back down, and that's what I feel like Spezia are going to do. That's what I also feel with Crotone. The only signing that stood out to me from Crotone is Cigarini, you know, a seasoned player in the Serie A, you know, great pass on him, great technical player, but, you know, quite old now. I think he's 34 years old. And again, apart from him, I didn't see no stand-up player in the squad, so I'm putting them 19th and 18th, just as I predicted them last year, but it didn't happen. I think Udinese finally gonna go down. These guys have been flirting with relegation almost, you know, last few seasons, and somehow they always managed to escape. You know, they weren't even in the relegation battle really last season, but they're just their terrorist style. They embody the terrorist style of football. Like they literally, I think they didn't even score as many goals as matches they played. I think they scored less than 38 goals, which is, you know, it just shows you what type of style they played. They ended up with the most most clean sheets, you know, for Juan Musso. You know, a great goalkeeper, great season he had last season. He pretty much saved them. They look like they might lose Rodrigo De Paul, you know, their best player, undoubtedly one of the best centre mids in the Serie A, who looks like he might be going to Leeds to join up with Marcelo Bielsa. So if they lose him, you know, big trouble. They already lost Fofana, who's an important player for them, powerful midfielder, went back to France. And they also lost Sema, one of the fullbacks, back to Watford. And I'm also tipping Gotti, the Udinese coach, to be the first to be fired this season as well. You know, he didn't even want to take the full-time job initially. He was only brought in as a caretaker, and he said he didn't want to take it, and it seemed like he was forced to take it. And yeah, I just feel like he's the Pozzo, the family that owns Udinese, are also very, you know, quick with the trigger. So I think he's going to go first. But yeah, those are my bottom three. Now I guess let's get back to the tasty side of the table, the top four. Starting off with a team that I feel like will sneak into fourth. I don't think they will be convincingly into fourth. They'll be making the last Champions League spot. And that is the cousins, AC Milan. I'm putting away my Inter shirt for today. Ignore the little pillow there. I'm putting on my unbiased hat, and I feel like the cousins will finally make it back to the Champions League. They've had an interesting transfer window. I don't think it's been as good as people, especially as Milanisti, want to hype it up as. The most important thing they did is keeping key players, and most importantly, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Even though he's 38 years old, this team revolves around him. The impact he made when he came, you know, last season, midway through the season. I expected him to make a big impact, but this guy made an even bigger impact than I expected. Not even in terms of goals and assists, but in terms of just the personality, the mentality that he brought to the place. Yesterday I watched their match against Shamrock Rovers. The way he looks at his teammates when they make a wrong pass, fear into the likes of Salamakers and Castillejo, who in theory shouldn't be really Milan quality players, but somehow he managed to elevate them. Çalhanoğlu stepped his game up when Ibra came in. Rebic stepped his game up when Ibra came in, and they also managed to keep Rebic as well. I don't know how Maldini did that one. That's a very shady deal that he did that, somehow free transfer, so he doesn't have to pay Fiorentina the 50% they could have been owed if they actually paid some money for Rebic. So I don't know, people are investigating this deal, so let's see if it really is a Maldini masterclass or not. But apart from that, obviously as an Inter fan you may know about Tonali being stolen right from under our noses. I don't think he's that vital of a signing in terms of, he'll be a good rotation for, between Kessie, Benacer, and then also Bakayoko is rumored to be coming in. So a really strong midfield. But there's not that many goals from the midfield. Tonali himself, I do see him more as a mezzala, but I don't see many goals in him. But maybe he develops that part of his game. The defense, with Kier and Romagnoli is decent enough, with Theo Hernandez obviously and Donnarumma. The right back's a bit of a weakness, but if Ibra gets injured, then they are in big trouble. My fourth place prediction really hinges on Ibra, staying fit for most of the season, because otherwise they don't really have a proper backup for him. And of course, the big question mark on Pioli: can he stay consistent for a whole season? We saw that after the COVID break, Milan were one, if not the best team in Serie A. I think points-wise they probably were, I think. But, that was just in that period where, it was like a mini tournament. There was no other, there was no European football. There was nothing to talk about. There was nothing else to, distract. Can they do that throughout a season of 38 games plus Europa League games in between? Coppa Italia, many, injuries and things. They were lucky in the COVID period. There was no injuries as well. And Pioli is known for his team to have like a Pioli period where they just just fall off the face of the earth. It happened at Inter, it happened at Lazio, it happened at Fiorentina. He just seems to have that, lack of consistency when he's managing teams. But can he finally do it? I think he might do some difference in his management style last season. I think he'll bring that into this season. So I hope Milan come back to the Champions League, because I feel like both Milan teams need to be in the Champions League. They both have the heritage in the Champions League. Lazio are in the Champions League this year, but I'm not expecting them to do much. Whereas when Milan are in there, even if the team is not as good as other teams out there, they still manage to do better. So I hope they do come back to the Champions League. Moving on to third place, Atalanta, who are not the fairy tale story anymore. They're a certainty. Last season I predicted them to drop off because I thought maybe the Champions League double 3 games in a week they'll drop off, but it looks like Gasperini's found a way to rotate the squad properly. They kept all their most important player last season and this season as well. Ilicic will be like a new signing. Obviously they missed him for the whole post-COVID period because of all those rumors that his wife cheated on him and he went into depression, but I'm not really sure what the truth is there. Papu Gomez also stayed. He had offers from Saudi Arabia for a lot of money and he rejected that, so that shows how much he loves Atalanta and the captain, and I'm expecting another assist-laden season from him again. Miranchuk has been added, interesting talent. I've not really seen too much of him, but I've heard good things, but he's injured for the start of the season. Otherwise, they haven't really lost anyone apart from Castagne to Leicester, but he was a rotational right wing back anyway. Hatabo has stayed, and they've signed Piccini as a replacement, who's an interesting player who got into the Italian team not too long ago, so let's see if Gasperini can revive him. They've also added Romero, who's coming from Juventus. He's very much a Gasperini type aggressive defender, who I'm interested to see how he develops under the Gasperini system. But yeah, overall I'm expecting another strong season from Atalanta, another high scoring season. Hopefully they do better with their injuries in terms of Muriel and Zapata, who had injuries last season. And yeah, for me, they're finishing third this season. Now, moving on to the second team, and I'm going for Juventus. Yes, I know I said I'm moving my bias. In my opinion, Juventus still have the best squad in the league. When you have the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, Dybala, Chiellini, De Ligt, Bonucci, Artur, Kulusevski, Dzeko incoming, that is a top team. It's a team with a winning mentality, which should never be underestimated. 9 Scudettos in a row is absolutely ridiculous, and they're going to be hunting for more. But I feel like the coach differential, they've reduced the average age of the team, which is a good thing. They managed to get some deadwood out like Higuain, Matuidi was maybe dead wood, but still, he was aging, high wages. And they've added in, as I said, the likes of Artur Kulusevski, young, hungry players. Kulusevski was probably the best young player in Serie A last season. He's an absolute machine. I'm more sad that we lost out on Kulusevski as an Inter fan than losing out on Tonali, because I feel like Kulusevski, with his adaptability, his physicality, technical ability, hunger, this guy's going to be a top player. But on the other hand, a lot of new signings means, adaptation time. Unlike previous years where they've only added a couple elements here and there, this year there's been a bit more of a revolution. The likes of Artur will need time to adapt to the new league, to the new system. Weston McKennie from the Bundesliga, young American player. New system. It looks like Pirlo wants to play a 3 at the back system. So they've been playing 4-3-3, 4-4-2 all season last year. So they're going back to a 3 back at formation. But De Ligt is still injured at the beginning of the season. Danilo's rumored to be playing at centre back. And Danilo is suspect in his defending most of the time, so I don't know how he's going to adapt to that right centre-back position. Chiellini, very advanced in his age, 36 years old. Can he still do that work at left centre-back? And he's also very injury-prone. So I am concerned for them in that area. On the other hand, though, the addition of Dzeko, as I said, I think is going to be the perfect foil for Dybala and Ronaldo and Kulusevski, because Dzeko is that type of Benzema type player who brings other players into the team. I've spoken about him many times before on this channel. When Inter will link with him, I really like him. Maybe he's not going to add 20 plus goals to Juve, but he could, because more chances created. But what he brings to the game in terms of build-up play, link-up play, creating chances from long balls, from Bonucci's long balls, he's going to be very important. I feel like Ronaldo is going to have another strong season. I'm not sure if Dybala will have as a strong season in this system, but we still don't know what system Pirlo's going to play. His thesis was released the other day. I read through it. It's all in Italian. I'll leave the link down if you want to read it. Nothing revolutionary from Pirlo. He wants the team to play with the ball, possession-based football, high pressing, high chance creation, 5 to 6 players attacking the defensive line, at least 3 to 4 players in the box. Defenders playing a lot with the ball. Nothing revolutionary, but at the end of the day, can he, turn those good ideas into an actual fully working team? Someone experienced like Sarri couldn't quite do it last season, even though they still managed to win the Scudetto. But Pirlo, zero experience, never even coached like a youth team. He was hired as the under-23 coach. We never even got to coach them. So can he, his first ever job in football post being a player, can he actually put those ideas into practice? I think he can, but I feel like there will be that differential between an Antonio Conte on the coaching bench and a Pirlo on the coaching bench. There will be some places where he'll make mistakes and have some learnings, and that's why I believe that Inter will take first place. And here I'm going with my heart more than my brain, because I still feel like Juventus are the favourites. I think the bookies still have them as favourites. As I said, the squad is still superior to Inter's, but this is Antonio Conte's season. This is the make or break season for Antonio Conte and his boys. Antonio Conte has no more excuses. We've given him pretty much everything he wanted within, our financial capability. We've added the experience and players where we needed. Achraf Hakimi, he's one of the top 2, if not the best right wing back in the world. Him alone will add so much more threat to Inter's attacking play. Last season we had Candreva out there, Victor Moses. Even Candreva managed to put up some good numbers. I think he had like 6 assists at the end of the season. But with Hakimi, I'm expecting double figures in terms of assists and even, 4 or 5 goals. And him linking up, doing those cutbacks and crosses to Lukaku and Lautaro, who I feel like their partnership will just get better and better. I think he will have an amazing year, and due to him, I think Lukaku will also be the top scorer in the Serie A. He will be the capocannoniere. I feel like, he had that 1 year of getting used to. He didn't even have a full pre-season with Inter. This year he has a full pre-season. He knows exactly what Conte wants. Towards the end of the season, he really started to take the team onto his shoulders, onto his back, onto his big back. Lautaro, he had that dip last season. The Barcelona rumours are gone, hopefully, so he can fully focus on Inter this year. Sanchez, fully fit. Let's not forget Sanchez was out for a good chunk of the season last year, and he would have been a great, substitute and option to have alongside Stefano Sensi. Those two would be almost like new signings as well. Sensi pretty much missed all the season after October. This guy was dusted. Let's not forget how important he was in August and September last season. Also, Kolarov being added, adding some needed depth in the left centre-back position for Bastoni. And you can also, double up as a left wing back if Young or someone else comes in there. Let's see. Hopefully Dalbert is sold. Stefan De Vrij, still a certainty. Skriniar, I think, after the year of adaptation, I think he will be an improved player as well. This defence, Inter had the best defense last season, and I'm still expecting them to be the hardest team to break down. Yes, unlike Juve, Inter still need to do some movements outgoing, which may bring even more transfers in. The likes of Arturo Vidal, who could come in. We have also Raja Nainggolan coming back from loan. Not sure if he will be kept, but imagine having Raja and Vidal as an option rather than Gagliardini and Vicino. That's like levels above what we had last season. That's why I believe it's going to be Inter's year. You may call me, delusional, biased, but I feel like this is the best chance Inter are ever going to get until now, to win the Scudetto, to steal it, snatch it from Juventus's hands. But, that's my opinion. Let me know in the comments below. Outside the top four, I think Napoli will finish 5th. I know Gattuso did really well after coming in for Ancelotti last season. Stabilized the ship. The ship was shaking all over the place. But I'm not sure if he really brings anything extra to the team. The only 2 signings they made are Petagna and Osimhen. Osimhen in his first season in the Serie A, coming from the Liga, and I think he will struggle to adapt. I think he'll need some time. Although I do think he's a good signing and something they needed. To stretch defenses with his pace. And Petagna is a great option to bring off the bench or start when the games get a bit more dirty. But I'm not sure Gattuso really adds too much to the table in terms of point differentials. I don't think they added enough, and if they lose Koulibaly, they'll be in big trouble because that guy keeps the defense up almost on his own at times. And I'm not too confident in their goalkeepers either with the Meret and Ospina. I don't think they're, high caliber players, but, Meret could always improve. 6th and 7th, I'm going for the 2 Roman teams. At 6th, I'm going to go for Lazio. I feel they had a bit of a drop-off in the post-COVID period, which I was expecting earlier on in the season. I feel like Inzaghi really overachieved with his squad. They have added depth. Murici is an interesting striker, even though I've never watched him play. He looks like he's got some good numbers. Will finally add some depth alongside Immobile. But defensively, I'm not sure they're good enough. Acerbi's contract situation is a little bit shaky at the moment. They lost out on Kumbulla. Luis Felipe can be a bit shaky at times. So I just feel like the steam that they lost out on in the second half of last season will continue. I don't really have the confidence in Lazio retaining that Champions League spot, also playing in the Champions League week in, week out. I'm not sure how good Inzaghi is with rotation. And with Roma, I think, new ownership coming in. Hopefully, things are looking a bit more positive in the future. But when a new ownership comes in, it's never easy to, as Inter fans and AC Milan fans will know, it's like a year zero. They've lost Zaniolo once again to ACL injury. Poor boy, that guy just keeps getting injured. Looks like he may miss most of the season once again. Pedro has come in. I'm not sure how much of a good signing he is at his age. High wages. At Chelsea, he was already declining. Cengiz Under also leaves, who was quite inconsistent, but he can add those, amazing goals out of nowhere here and there. Kumbulla has come in, which is a good signing for them long term as well. And they're still interested in Chris Smalling from what I read from Fonseca. And Fonseca also is a good coach. I have faith in him. Milik for Dzeko, I reckon he will score more goals than Dzeko, but I don't think he adds as much to their play. So I feel like it's more of a sideways, maybe even a slight downgrade compared to Dzeko with Milik, especially with his injury history. Hopefully his ACL injuries don't flare up again, because Roma is a magnet for ACL injuries. They've had a crazy amount of ACL injuries over the years. Outside the top 7, Hellas Verona were the surprise package from last season, but I feel like they're going to drop off badly this year because lost Amrabat, Kumbulla, Ramani, Pessina. They were all key players, and Juric really hasn't had the backing in the transfer market to replace them, so I feel like they will drop off. Last season I predicted them to finish last, actually. That was my worst prediction. And Fiorentina also look good on paper once again. But I'm just really puzzled as why they've continued with Beppe Iachini as a coach. He's an average coach at best. He's not proven that he can handle big expectations anyway. Usually is a coach that you bring in to secure safety. So I'm very surprised they didn't go for someone like Spalletti, who is available out there, and they do have the budget to pay. But they do have a really interesting squad, especially the midfield with Boateng, Bonaventura, Boja Valero, Castrovilli, Amrabat, Duncan. That's a stacked midfield. Kwame, Ribéry, Chiesa up front. You know, that's a very exciting team. But let's see if Iachini can actually make anything of that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That was my preview for the Serie Ass season. As I said, it's going to be the most competitive season of Serie A that I can remember in recent years. I think, you know, those top 7 teams, especially top 6, I think is going to be really close. You know, there was a bit of a gap between top 4 and 5, 6 last season, but I think that's going to close up. The only worry is the bottom teams. As I said, I feel like the gap is widening between the top teams and the bottom teams. But it should be another interesting season to watch. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to reading your comments below. Leave your predictions below for your top 4, for your relegation teams, and in general, you know, who you think is going to be the surprises, who you think is going to be the top scorer, who's the first manager who's going to be sacked. As I said, I think Romelu Lukaku top scorer, Gotti Udinese first sacked. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you for future videos. Stay tuned. Ciao.